Thank you for listening to the Kyle and Tim podcast, where we have authentic conversations that help cultivate a better understanding of ourselves, our guests, and the world we live in. This podcast is about our guests, getting to know them, their backgrounds, experience, thoughts, and ideas. We really appreciate you listening. Before we introduce our next guest, we'd like to introduce you to a few sponsors that help make this podcast possible.
Dustin Gasvota. How do you say it?
Gasvota.
Gasvota. Welcome to the show. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, where are you from?
Grew up in Big Sandy, Montana.
What's the population there?
700-ish.
What was that like?
I don't know. It was normal to me.
What's the biggest town? What's the town you live in now? What's the population?
Chinook, which we're 30 miles south of Chinook, but population's probably 800-900.
Damn. All right.
So you're 30 miles south of that.
Yes. In Loyd, Montana, which really isn't a town.
Okay.
There's like a closed down country school in a
Okay.
house.
It's probably like
And it is
it's
like there's a
immigrant.
gas station or no?
No.
So there's not even a gas station.
No, it's like where the post office used to be back in the day.
Wow.
It's like immigrant kind of. They call it a town, but it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like there's shit around immigrant.
yeah. I mean, but still, it's not really a town.
Yeah, right. So but there's restaurants, bar.
No, that's closest to Chinook.
Wow. So it's different than.
Yeah.
I wouldn't compare it to immigrant because immigrant has restaurants and bars and gas station
One of each.
and a store.
Yeah, I guess one of each of those.
So anyway,
I already prepped him for this question. What's your earliest memory ever being alive?
Ooh, yeah, I've been thinking about this since you told me about it. It's a tough one, but I think the earliest thing I probably remember is, ironically, at a Thanksgiving at my great aunt and uncle's house, and that's about it. I remember being there. Probably roughly 3 years old, I guess.
I think that's roughly the age you can remember stuff.
Yeah.
I got to find out when I snipped that piece of my finger off. I wonder how old I was, because then I
in the tractor.
mostly know. Yeah. Funny, I have this other memory when I was a kid, and I can't remember. I swear it was like either I can't tell if it was David that I was watching or it was me. It had to be David. Like David was getting his diaper changed, and he's like peeing, like peeing over whoever's like trying to change his diaper. Just like, but I'm like, I can't remember if it was me, like pissing on someone who's changing my diaper, or me seeing David. Cause I'm guessing it was David.
Mm.
Because if that was the case, I'd probably be like 6. I'm 4 years older than David.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from 5 to 6. What do you just have one sister, right?
Yeah, just one
Yeah.
older sister.
She's got 3 kids. She's right.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
kids.
Right on.
Older girl and twin boys.
So what was it like growing up in Big Sandy? Like describe it.
Which growing up on the ranch, worked a lot during school and stuff after school, but most of the time growing up there, just hang out with friends, go hunting, ride dirt bikes and shit.
Yeah.
Get in trouble.
So you went to like a formal school?
Big Sandy High School, public school. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you went to public school like your whole life. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So that's a tiny little school then, right? Like had how many? Well, I say tiny, but that's all relative, right? That's normal to you, right? So like how many kids were in your classes?
I graduated with 13 kids in my class.
Okay, got it.
And then from Big Sandy High School, from 7th to 8th grade, the junior high was in the same building. There's probably like 70 total students.
Okay.
My graduating class was smaller.
Nice.
How many were in your graduating class, Tal?
Like at my high school.
Yeah,
So 1,200.
that's big.
Like 1,200 in like they were all seniors graduating.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So
So
how many in
the
the high
school
school,
was
like
about
5,000?
4,000. About a little over 4,000.
Damn.
That's crazy.
What was the ranch situation? How many what were you guys doing? Your folks are running that full time, so you were just working on the ranch every day?
Yeah. Grew up on the ranch, which I was running a swather by the time I was like 9 years old,
I don't even know what a swather is. What's a swather?
which you cut hay with.
Okay.
What were you guys cutting with back then? Was it a hay vine?
No, we actually had some pretty nice John Deere swathers.
Okay. What do the blades look like on them? Are they like a sickle bar?
Yeah, they were sickle bar.
Yeah.
But now there's a lot of the hay binds in it with the
disc, like a disc bind.
Disc, yeah.
That was what we had like originally. Like we would call them a hay bind. We didn't call them a swather.
No,
but
yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard this story, but my mother, she got done cutting a field. It's like an 8-acre field. I remember the field and everything. She got done cutting it, and she's like pulling, it's like pretty long first cutting. She's pulling the hay out of the sickle bar. So she leaves me sitting on the tractor. I'm on the John Deere 3020. I'm looking behind it, like hanging over the seat.
The tractor's running.
Yeah, tractor's running. Hay bind's hooked up, and she's just pulling the hay out before we go down the road. And this didn't have a single seat on. It had a bench seat because she would strap a kid on each side and put the seatbelt around us. But she's sitting there, and I'm just watching her. I don't know how old I was, but I was at least like 10, so I wasn't a tiny kid. But I'm like looking, watching, and I kick with my foot, and I kick the PTO.
Oh,
and I like turned the bar. It just like bumped the clutch. I didn't fully engage it. Like it left like a thread of her pinky finger hanging on. I'll have to ask her later to show us the scar.
Crazy.
Then she like drives the tractor back, has it like wrapped in a shirt. And I remember she was talking, I don't know who she was talking to, the people who worked on the farm or my father. She's like, I'm going to drive myself to the hospital now. I got to go. And she just drove herself to the hospital.
She's fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
I have a similar story when I was a kid. I was probably only 5 or 6, but I was riding with my dad in the feed pickup going to cake the cows, like with the feeder on the back, cow cake is the little pellets. It's about that long.
No.
But it's just like a supplement. And we had the old feed pickup was a manual, and it would start in gear. And my dad shut it off to get the gate. And being a kid, I was like, oh, I'll do me a favor and start the pickup. And it started and about pinched in between the gate and the pickup.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's how my 96 Ford was, though, because the clutch switch would go bad. And then I realized you could just cross the 2 wires at it. But then you can start it in gear.
Start it in gear.
Yeah. It's dangerous. But
Yeah, that's interesting. So I get at some point they
did it not start? Did it just like roll forward a little bit and then stop, or did it start?
No, it started. Like I remember him like squeezing through the gap between the pickup and the gate post. Like,
I wonder when they started doing that. Like
the clutch switch.
Yeah, so like all the old cars that I grew up with, like you start everything in gear.
Yeah.
So at some point, like in the 70s or like 80s, probably 70s, that they like made it so you couldn't start the car in first gear or reverse.
Well,
it
can be in gear. The clutch has to be down.
Right. What I'm saying is like those cars you could just fire up and they'd run for a second, they'd lurch forward, and then they'd shut off.
Was that aftermarket that it started in gear, or was that just from the factory?
No, it was there's supposed to be a neutral safety switch, but
yeah,
it probably, like you were saying,
that was the one that I crossed. Yeah, because I remember it happened in the middle in a hayfield, and I like knew what it was, so I just crossed the wires, and then I'm like, well, why would I get a new one? But they're almost the same thing. Almost happened. With somebody backing up, and they almost like they turned the key on when it was in reverse, and there's, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the worst farm ranch accident you've seen growing up on the ranch?
Which nobody got hurt, but we had a kid from Idaho working for us at the time, and he was taking a big 4-wheel drive tractor and a 38-foot cultivator down the road and put it in the ditch and rolled the cultivator.
Oh, Jesus.
Just twisted the hitch completely over.
How wide is that thing when it's folded up? It's 38 feet wide.
No, when it's folded up, it's probably 15-ish feet.
I just saw some guy the other day getting off the interstate with one of those on the back of a big articulating tractor. Pretty funny when they're going around Bozeman.
If somebody does get hurt and you're in Big Sandy, like where's the closest hospital?
But Big Sandy has a pretty nice little hospital, but most of the time it's either if they do what they can there at the little small town hospitals, and either go to Havre or Great Falls.
Okay.
Do they have a chopper pad there or no?
Yeah, in Big Sandy they do.
Yeah. Do they keep a chopper there or no?
No.
Yeah.
They got to come.
They can come.
Great Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did Becky have Charlie?
Havre.
Okay. How far is that from Big Sandy?
35 miles.
I don't know. They never speak in like how long it takes to get there. They just speak in miles.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're going on a horse or a tractor or a truck.
Yeah.
I'll ask Becky, like, how long does it take to get there? She'll be like, 20 miles. That's not very informative, but I'm glad I know how far it is. What about the horses? Did you always start up, like, how old were you when you got on horses?
It was funny because when I was a little kid, I was actually deathly afraid of horses. It was like kind of forced upon me. I was like, oh, no, I don't like this. And then I probably started riding a lot when I was 5, 6.
And your folks ride?
Yeah.
So do you guys are the horses like fully practical to be using on the ranch now, or do you just use them because you like them?
No, they're where we're at now. Wouldn't be able to do it without them.
I know, because there's some ranches out here that only use 4-wheelers now.
Yeah, which where we're at now, it's all horseback.
So when did you do your first rodeo competition?
Probably when I was in like 8th grade. I rode some steers.
How does riding a steer? How do you do that? Just like riding a bull,
Just like
essentially.
riding a bull,
Yeah.
yeah, but not nearly as dangerous.
And what's your main thing is broncs, right?
Yeah. Which when I was in high school, I tried to ride bareback horses for a while, but kind of got out of that. Then took a break for a while. Then I started riding ranch broncs.
So you're doing saddles though, saddle bronc, yeah.
Are you still doing it?
No, I had actually had my second back surgery this last spring, so I figured I better quit.
Okay, got it.
What's your worst injury from going off a bronc?
Other than being scraped up, I've never actually gotten injured, other than like maybe pulling a muscle or something.
Wow.
Which is going down so much off of them, and
Yeah.
Is that what you attribute all your back injuries to?
It's probably a combination of things. Being really dumb growing up, snowmobile wrecks, dirt bike wrecks, horse wrecks, combination of everything.
So what titles do you hold in the bronc riding?
Which I didn't do it like full time. It's just kind of a hobby thing. Won a buckle, won some money.
Is that buckle you're wearing now? One you've won? Nice. What is that one?
Roy Open Rodeo.
Nice.
Where's that one at?
Roy.
Okay.
Roy Montana.
Yeah, I was gonna
Pretty
say
straightforward.
Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm from Los Angeles, man. I don't know these things.
How'd you talk Becky into doing a bronc ride?
I actually tried to talk her out of it. She wanted to do it.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I think
When did she do that?
How many years?
2 summers ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd she do?
She's really good. Yeah, she made a full ride.
Wow.
Yeah. You've seen the video, right?
Oh,
Actually won some money too.
cool.
Yeah, I'll have to show it to you.
How much did she win?
A couple $100.
Sweet. She didn't get hurt at all. Nothing.
No.
She just wow, awesome.
Just went and did it.
That's a good way to go.
That's right. Tim's sister is tougher than I am.
She's pretty tough. Like,
Yeah, she is.
most of my friends growing up were pretty intimidated by her. David's still pretty intimidated by her.
Shit, I'm intimidated by her when I piss her off. Scary.
I guess I'm not at all, but I guess that's just because I'm her older brother and I grew up with her.
So what? So when you guys are working on the ranch, what does that mean? Like, there's probably, I imagine there's like a cycle, like different times a year you're doing different things, and so like we're going into winter. I guess we're already in winter, but what's the next couple of months look like for you guys? What's a day, week, month look like?
For us now, it's kind of different where we're at now. We work for a registered Angus outfit, and we have a upcoming bull sale, so we're trying to prepare for that. Sell bulls, and
When's that? When are you selling bulls?
December 11th.
Okay, real soon.
Yes. And yeah, other than that, which things have kind of slowed down now in the winter, but mostly just keeping cows happy.
Okay, what is? Sorry, I'm gonna dive in. What's that mean? Keeping cows happy. What does that entail? What's that include?
And that depends on the amount of snow we have, but now we have a lot of winter grass, so we're not having to feed yet. But when the snow gets deep, we'll have to start feeding them.
Yeah,
making sure the waters are open and stuff.
And they're just out on the ranch, or are they like in some sort of a like? Are they in a barn? Like I wouldn't say a barn, but like they're just out on the ranch.
They're out in the mountains in the pasture. Yeah.
Got it.
And these, I mean, like, the cows? What are you feeding them? Are you guys just feeding them hay in the winter?
Yeah, which I was telling you about on the way over here, like with the mixer wagons using dried and wet distillers grains like pea dust and silage, hay silage and corn silage.
So you're feeding that to everyone, not just the feeders? Like all the cows are getting that? Yeah.
All the cows get that.
And you guys will just run that pretty much in a long line out on the ground and feed them?
Yeah.
And when do they start calving in?
End of March, beginning of April.
And then how long is that usually? A couple months?
Yeah, a couple months.
What's that mean, calving in?
When the mother cows start to have their calves.
So at the end of March.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have like got a system down that like that's all timed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You get some bad weather in the spring, obviously, but usually it's better than like the guys that calve in January, February.
Got it.
Do you guys do the fall too, or just the spring?
For calving wise?
Yeah.
Just spring calving.
Yeah. I know some on the east, they do the fall too. I
calving.
don't know.
So they get pregnant like when?
They're like 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9 months prior to March.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, if you think about it logically, you think it'd be calving out because calves are coming out. It's called calving in.
All right.
I don't
I
know.
mean-
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's all good.
That's like my cousin Adam. He's like, yeah, people always say they're taking a piss. My dad says he's leaving a piss.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just say things. That's the term.
Yeah.
You guys do it. Do they just run bulls or do they do any AI?
Oh, yeah. They do a lot of AIing in the registered cows.
Do
Like
what?
embryo
Artificial
cows.
insemination?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys fucking using all kinds of terminology.
When people started talking about AI, artificial intelligence, I was like, why are they talking about breeding cows? Like that's literally what I thought. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Like
That's
AI
hilarious.
is becoming a thing. I'm like, what? It's always been a thing.
There's robots out there violating the cows.
Have you ever done that or no?
No,
Becky knows how to do it.
that she does.
It's been a while, but I don't know if she's. So I know she's gotten some. Yeah, she could have another job on her hands.
Yeah.
Do they just have someone on the ranch doing that there?
I'm not really sure yet where we're at does it, but I think they probably do it themselves.
I guess that's probably quite the like. You really got to pay attention whenever that time comes,
Yeah.
like March, right? Because you're having cows every day, or what? Or you try to do them all, like you try to batch them all.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty grouped up
Yeah.
for the most part.
So usually, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I only come from dairy farms, but you'll have a bull out with all these cows you want him to breed in the certain window. So then within those 2 months, he should essentially or could get most of, if not all of them pregnant.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're doing it artificially, you have to know when they're in heat. So
Yeah.
you'll see the cows stand on top of each other. Sometimes you can put some like paint on their back, and if it's rubbed off,
Mm.
because the female cow will mount the other female cows when they're in heat, and that's how you know it's time to breed roughly. So sometimes the farmers will put like paint.
So the girls are rubbing up on the other girls.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that, but it's whatever they're into.
Hey, you know,
But all the dairy farms now, like
everybody needs a little bit of love. You know what I mean?
the new dairy farms all have trackers on them. It's basically like a whoop strap for the
A what?
cows. Like the whoop strap
Okay.
or a Garmin.
Yeah.
They can pretty much tell when the cow's in heat just by its activity.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they'll like know. And then everything's stored with some software, so they know exactly when the cow's in.
So they're moving more or less?
More.
Okay.
They're trying to, get
Yeah.
some.
Got it.
They're after it.
All right. Interesting.
So what else was it like growing up in Big Sandy? Just farming, ranching.
Yeah, grew up
Tell us what
farming, ranching.
Tell us what a typical day looks like when you don't have school in Big Sandy when you're a kid. What are you doing?
Work.
What does
On the
that
ranch.
start with?
Just whatever time of year it was. Just my parents made sure we stayed busy, I think, try to keep us out of trouble.
Did they keep you out of trouble? How much trouble did you get into?
I was in trouble quite often, but it was never very serious trouble.
What's the worst thing you got in trouble for?
Probably like a reckless driving ticket when I was in high school. Got 85 into 25 racing in Havre.
Nice. Me and Kyle almost got that on the way here. Racing in Bozeman on Main Street.
Yeah, I think I got up to the top speed of 30.
You had no chance anyway.
Yeah.
Couldn't touch the Ford. You got more ranch questions for him? Because I vaguely know all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know any of it. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what would be a good question to ask. Like, I guess for you, it's probably like you don't even think about it because it's just like second nature. But most people, I would say most people that come from any general kind of large city have no idea what it's like to be in agriculture at all and be on a ranch. Like it's like a foreign idea to most people, which I find it interesting because why not, right? Like it's just an interesting way of life. So you basically mostly you've grown up on like a cattle ranch, like Black Angus.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my family's ranch where I grew up, they run commercial Angus cows and then did quite a bit of farming too, like raising wheat.
Okay.
Winter wheat primarily.
Winter wheat.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
Winter wheat is planted in the fall and goes through the winter and then grows in the spring. And spring wheat is planted in the spring.
Okay, got it. So it grows in the spring, but you plant it in the like just before the winter.
Yeah, like in the fall time, winter wheat seeded in the fall, it'll come up, and then as soon as it starts getting cold and snow, it'll go dormant.
Yep, and it comes back alive, so to speak, when the snow melts. Yeah. Got it. And you cut it like middle of summer.
Yeah, July, August.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So then you're you really have like two businesses that you're running in a sense. You're selling wheat, and then selling cows.
Yeah.
Selling meat. So I guess walk me through, like, let's just talk about the Black Angus from a business perspective. So you guys sell your cows to like a slaughterhouse?
The calves will go to a slaughterhouse somewhere, but before that they'll go like to a feedlot somewhere, probably in the Midwest, and get finished and then go to a slaughterhouse from there.
Okay, so interesting. So you sell them to a feedlot.
Yeah.
And so that's where the exchange is, like the dollars exchanged. They take them, you're saying, somewhere in the Midwest, feed them, fatten them up, and then they go to a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and then most feedlots are in the Midwest because they have a better climate than up north here. Not as cold, and they grow better. Sure.
That's interesting. That I had heard something that I thought was interesting. I assume is mostly true. Is that there's really not a lot. Maybe I think there's like 2 in the state now. Maybe there's more. There's only 2 places in the state that we could legally process meat, like on a commercial level. Does that sound about right or no?
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm not really sure though.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because there's so much cattle in the state, but they go out of state, like you mentioned. They go to the Midwest. They go to a feedlot, and then they get slaughtered there, and then ultimately the meat comes back to Montana in a grocery store, and people buy it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting process that it's almost like there's a process and it's broken up across the whole country. I guess I always assumed that like the process would exist in one location, meaning like it would all happen in the same state, as an example, but it sounds like it doesn't really.
No, it doesn't.
I guess it's probably similar for milk too, right? Like,
yeah,
there's milk
all over the country. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wonder if like
there's a milk plant here in Bozeman.
Yeah, Dairy Gold.
Yeah. But I don't know. It goes all over. But that, like, maybe some of that stays local. I don't know. I think it just depends on where they need it.
Yeah.
Whatever makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's saying, if it only makes sense to fatten the cows in the Midwest where the climate's better. Those meat companies are huge. Like Cargill. I don't know who the other ones are. Yeah. They do they process millions of cows. I don't know if that's where they go eventually.
I don't know. There's a bunch of. They're all big. It's a big corporate game now.
So you guys are selling them to a middleman, and then he's selling them to whoever he's contracted with.
Interesting. And the just the like logistics, the trucking is like probably like a huge. I mean, it's got to be a massive business in and of itself.
Do you guys truck them to the lot, or does somebody come pick them up?
Most of the time, somebody will come pick them up.
How many calves do you usually get out of a cow?
Well, it depends. It's shit. Cow hits 10, they're getting pretty old, really old.
Like 10 for age or 10 calves?
10 for age. Well, calf a year once they turn 2.
Yeah.
They'll have their first calf at 2.
What do you do with them when they get to? Do they still go for meat once they're old, or what do you do with them then?
Yeah, you can, like, a lot of times you can take them right to a kill plant, which is from here. The close one's Idaho or like Long Prairie, Minnesota. To go direct to a kill plant, then you can skip the middleman on those cows and get a lot of them. When you go to those places, they're getting killed about as quick as they come off the truck.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with that meat?
Probably like
Hamburger. Yeah.
McDonald's.
McDonald's will be made in the lab soon anyway.
Yeah.
So there's not like a situation where you get rid of them. I say get rid of them, but like, yeah, I guess in a sense from a business perspective, like get rid of them earlier.
Oh, yeah. Like if, say, they lose their calf, sometimes you'll keep them, sometimes you'll get rid of them if it's not logical to feed the cow through the year with no income off of her.
Yeah.
Or if there's obviously a bad mother, you'll get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to look at it like a business. If you're going,
it is
whatever it costs to.
Yeah.
It is a business.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when you get a lot of pushback, though.
From people who don't understand.
Yeah, they have 1,500 cows. They're not pets.
They're not. Yeah, they're not pets. Yeah, they're not pets.
I mean, yeah, you got to take care of them, but can't get attached to them.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, 10. Yeah, that's roughly like what do you have for a dairy cow? Like maybe you'll have it. I mean, same
10
thing.
years.
Yeah. That's an old dairy.
So there's
cow.
probably like a balance of like, all right, well, if I get rid of this cow at year 7, or maybe not, because then you're going to get a couple more years of having babies, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Calves.
Yeah. Like the way I look at it, she keeps having calves. Stay around.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, I think some ranches and farms have it down to a science. Kind of just there's a tipping point.
And there is a lot of ranches that say a cow gets 7, 8, they'll send her down the road just because she's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I look at it, if she's giving you a calf, she just will be around.
Right. I got you.
Yeah, I think a lot of dairy farms will do like 7, 8, same thing. The life on a dairy cow is way harder than the life on a beef cow.
Why do you say that?
Because they're walking on concrete all day, which just imagine how that feels versus being outside in a pasture. And then
they're always in a barn.
A lot of the commercial ones, yeah, they're never outside. They feed them a high protein diet for max production, so they're also like pumping out 100 pounds of milk a day and getting milk twice a day. So they're running those things like for all their work.
So like that dairy farm that you work around here on, those cows are always in a barn.
They have a lot. They have a lot they can go out to in the daytime.
Okay,
it's not very big, but then they're off the concrete a little bit.
Got it.
You see how the winters are here. It's hot, so they're cold, and same thing when it's hot.
So like the ones like your cattle are just like out free range in the sense I don't even know if that fucking is the right terminology, but meaning like they're just out in the elements.
Yeah.
Right. So like
outside doing what
they're
they
fine.
Want. Yeah.
Like as long as you feed them, they're fine out there, no matter how cold it is. Yeah.
Yeah. The life of a beef.
I think there's a huge misunderstanding there too of like people think that like they need to be indoors. Like no, they're fine.
No.
Like
I think it's real nasty, and they got nowhere to get out of the wind. Like that can kill them.
Yeah.
You guys ever had anything like that?
Yeah, like we've had times like growing up where a nasty blizzard will come in and it'll like blow them into a coulee for shelter, and they'll start piling up on each other. Snow will get too deep, and they'll start piling up on each other.
Yeah, so you got to go like manage that. Yeah. But it's rare that they would. Yeah.
And then out in the mountains, 90% of the time, there's more than enough natural shelter.
Yeah,
that they'll be fine.
They'll go stand behind a hill or something if it's windy or something. Yeah,
cows are actually pretty smart.
Well, I think it's also just like intuitive. Like, hey, I'm gonna go stand over there, block the wind a little bit. Yeah, I think there's a misunderstanding there too about like, they need to be inside. They're fucking fine.
Yeah, and I was just thinking though, the life on a beef cow is way easier than a dairy cow, and the life on a beef farmer is a lot easier than life on a dairy farmer because you don't have to milk them twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much work. If you got,
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, they're the same but different in most of the aspects.
Yeah, you're saying like there's like just maintenance maintenance. There's work every
just
single
'cause you
day
have
at
to
10
milk them,
o'clock.
like it seems so nice when you have like different seasons in beef farming. So there's times when you're really busy and it's crazy, and all the calves are coming in, and you got hay to do, and you got wheat to harvest and a million things. But then at least in the winter, like it slows down a little bit.
Yeah,
You
and
can
then
catch
like
your breath.
springtime with beef cows, it's like kick them out in pasture and go check on them once in a while.
Okay.
Make sure they're staying in.
What's if you were to describe like your most favorite thing about working on a ranch?
Like general work or like favorite season?
Either one, both. You can describe them both.
My favorite season is definitely branding season.
Okay.
It's springtime after all the little calves are born. Get everything rounded up and branded. That's fun.
Okay.
It's a fun time.
Why is it? What's fun about it?
Like neighbors get together, stuff. Get a big crew, brand calves, roping and dragging them to the fire.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun work.
Yeah, and it kind of everybody's helping everybody out. So like your neighbors are helping you, you're helping them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Like it's almost like I think what people don't realize, and maybe it's my assumption, that like people have to help each other out because there's too much work to be done with a small group of people. So then you get your neighbors involved.
Yeah, neighbors help
and you
neighbors.
basically are like, hey, like I'm going to help you, you're going to help me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're all doing it together. Yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't get done.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of big projects if we didn't have the help of neighbors at branding time.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend in Northern California who has a Black Angus ranch, and I went and helped them for 3 days, just like move cattle from, they were kind of leasing somebody else's land, and then they were moving them down. And I had never done anything like that in my life, and still to this day haven't done anything like that. I just did it that one time. But it was the same thing. Like there was it was like probably 25 or 30 of us that were just helping out.
No.
Maybe not 25 or 30, but either way, there was a big group of people where his family was only 5 people. And so there's no way we would have got it all done with a group of 5 people. It would have taken forever.
Yeah. And that's what, like where we're at now. A lot of time I'm moving cows. It's just me and my boss. That's why I can make sure you have good horses because you got to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah. What defines a good horse in that situation?
That's just a matter of personal opinion, but depends on what you expect out of the horse, I guess.
That it can work long hours and not eat a lot of food and not drink a lot of water. I mean, is that kind of like you're like this thing's got it like basically it's got to be durable.
Yeah, and horses are like people. They all got their own personalities.
Yeah.
Some of them are assholes. Some of them are nice.
Right.
Yeah, and just, well trained and good horse rider connection, and it knows what you want. And, I think, and you could correct me on this, like, because you've obviously been on horses a hell of a lot more than me, but like a good horse and a good rider or cowboy, cowgirl, whatever you are, non-binary rider, if it'll have such a good connection, it kind of like knows what the rider wants or the cowboy wants it to do. It's just like a kind of a vibe.
It's a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you got to trust a horse. Horse has to trust you.
Yeah. You know each other's abilities and whatnot and personalities. Yeah, that makes sense. And I would imagine that like almost they need to match. Like there could be like a horse that needs a certain type of rider.
Definitely.
And vice versa. Yeah. That like if you like if I were to get on, well, really any fucking horse, but if I would get on a certain type of horse, that the horse would just take advantage of me.
Yeah. And like honestly, like you and inexperienced with horses.
Yeah.
If a lot of the horses I ride, they're kind of assholes.
Yeah. So
a
you
lot
got
of
to be an
people-
asshole back
yeah,
to them.
A lot of people, other than me, don't get along with them.
Yeah, you got to meet them halfway, or they're just gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah.
I feel like dogs are like that too.
Sure.
You let a dog just get away with shit. He's like, I fuck this guy. He's not gonna do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Watch this. Rub my balls on his pillow and jump on his bed. What's a branding day look like? I don't know if you guys are just talking about
We were,
it.
yeah, it was like one of your favorite times because it's exciting.
But yeah, I guess branding day entails, which some people bring them back to a corral, a lot of like a permanent corral. A lot of people do it out in the pasture, like set up a big pen with panels and stuff, gather the pasture, get them all in. Some people let the cows out right away, sort them off. Some people just leave them in there and let them kind of trickle out themselves. But yeah, the way we brand up there is do that, and then horse and rope the calves, drag them out to a ground crew.
So if you like, how many families come out and help? I say families, they probably are families, but they're different ranches. Like, how many different ranches are kind of grouping up to brand on a day? Is it 3? Is it 5?
That all depends on where you're at, and like a lot of people try to do it with a minimal crew. Some people make a giant party out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably made it so much more fun because I know something similar to that, but you feel like you're kind of connected to your whole community.
Oh,
you guys are all
yeah.
helping each other out.
I remember, like, even when we were in high school, like the big thing was branding time, because shit, high school kids got paid in beer 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you work, you can drink some beer.
Yeah.
What they used to do, at least I only heard stories of this because this at least never happened when I was growing up. All the farmers used to go around, like someone would be cutting a bunch of hay, and they'd round up like 5 or 6 different farmers, and they'd help all unload the hay. And they'd kind of do this at all the farms.
Mm-hmm.
But now everyone's just kind of, they're bigger and they do their own thing.
Yeah.
And you don't help somebody else unless they're paying you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's much more corporate and doesn't feel like you're part of a team.
And that's because, like, all these places, like, you either had to grow or die. Like,
Yeah, you had.
places,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost, you were interesting. Explain that a little bit. Like, explain that to, like, you had to grow or die. Like, what do you mean by that?
like, if you go drive through the country, you'll see like little homesteads everywhere, and then you go drive the same country now, and it's abandoned houses, and one farmer farms what 20 people used to,
Mm-hmm.
with advances in equipment, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
That's literally how dairy farming is too, because you just couldn't afford taxes anymore. And then you get a giant corn planter and a giant mower, and you can do as much crops. You can do 10 times the crops in one day with one guy. What it used to take like 10 families to do. But he can do that same thing for a quarter of the price, and there's no way to pay your taxes. And
Yeah,
it's like you have to. Yeah, exactly like you said. You know that it's like any business or corporation.
Yeah, but I can see why, right? But I don't know that business, so I don't know the ins and outs of, like, which factors are kind of pushing it one way or another, right? And it's interesting. I mean, I guess that concerns me, and it concerns me about a lot of industries, but it concerns me that, like, our economics are driving us to do certain things that I don't know. I'm not sure why it bothers me, but it kind of bothers me.
Well, here's the other.
I guess what I will say is, like, it seems odd that, like, let's just say you needed 10 people to, kind of work this land, and now you need one person. Well, where'd all the fucking money go? Right? Because all 9 people lost their jobs, right? Basically. Or they went lost their jobs. They went and did something else. But let's just say they lost their job. Where'd all the money go? Did it go to taxes? Did it, like, it went somewhere?
and like inputs for even say farming and ranching is like things are so expensive anymore. Or like if you like got into buying land now, it's insane. The land's so expensive. But then like a lot of farmers are like, oh, this land came up for sale. They're going to buy that. They'll be like, let's find some more we can lease to help make that land payment. So that's kind of how the steadily expansion.
Yeah, and so one of the first things I was thinking, like, where'd the money go? Like, it went into the land cost. Like that makes sense to me. Like, okay, the land got more expensive.
Yeah, taxes go up progressively.
Equipment maintenance.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I wonder what if you did, like, somebody's probably done the study of like the cost of equipment versus the cost of doing it by hand. And like people would say, well, like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, that's really like at some point there's like this, I don't know, if you go back 50 years, I don't know. At some point there was probably like a break even point, right? But now it's almost like we can't go backwards. But that equipment's super expensive. I would imagine like people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for these pieces of equipment.
Oh yeah, like I was just looking at it the other day. Like the newest high horsepower John Deere tractor is over $1 million.
Yeah. So then, okay, so that's crazy, right? You're paying $1 million for a piece of equipment. Like, that's a lot of money. That's a ton of money. Yeah. And then you're like, can you even work on it? How often does it break down? Yeah. Then you got a mechanic cost. Like, you didn't used to have a mechanic's cost, right? Like, I'm sure you did, but at some point, I wonder, like, people just fix their own shit.
Yeah, and that helps a lot. And then a lot of people where I'm from, they run older equipment, but the older equipment's paid for, and they can work on it.
Yeah, and they can work on it. Yeah. Were we talking about this, or maybe I was just we were talking about this with we were talking about it with your buddy from New York. What's his name? He was on the podcast. Casey.
Yeah.
Talking about how nobody knows how to work on the new tractors.
Yeah, because they're computers.
Yeah, and so like they're like kind of built that way so that you can't work on them.
Yeah.
This is all I remember. Like, this is the best example I have. We did like 30 acres of corn, and there was a giant dairy farm down the road that could plant it with a 10-row corn planter for $100 an acre. So it'd be $3,000. And if you had a really old corn planter that was paid for and a tractor, and then you figure your fuel and the amount of time it takes you, which I don't know, it takes several days to do with a small 4-row planter, or you could just pay them to do it. And it doesn't take any time. It's $3,000.
You basically borrow their piece of equipment, or they come over.
You just pay it. No, they would come and do it.
Okay.
They would literally.
So it's not like you're gonna like run it yourself. They're gonna do
no
the whole
time. You just say, yeah, do it.
Okay.
And because they have this giant planter, because they plant 1,400 acres of corn, they could do it in, I don't know, like less than a day.
Yeah, half a day or something.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's cheaper to do that. But then they figured out how many acres they needed to do to be able to afford that planter, and they can do their corn in a week or two, and they're done.
And then they're just renting. Then they're going to go out and subcontract out.
But they're milking 1,000 cows, because that's how many cows they need to milk to pay for that planter, pay for a giant swather and everything. So like that's why they had to grow. Like, well, the only way we can do this for less money is if we're big enough.
Yeah. So it's like the economies of scale. So once you get big enough, then it's actually cheaper.
Yeah. And then if you're small, you're like, it's cheaper to pay them to do it than do it yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting because so it's the same. I shouldn't say same. There's different factors. This is happening it's been happening since we've all been alive. It's been a trend for 35, 40 years of people are getting away from being in the trades. So it's kind of similar to farming and ranching in that people are getting away from it, right? They're stopping. Less people are doing it. And less people are doing it, I guess, because what you just mentioned was like, well, if it took 10 people and now it takes 1, well, then that's 9 less people. Similarly, these things are happening in the construction industry of like, there's a lot less people going into the trades. People have been kind of pushed away from them in a lot of ways. and things are getting way more expensive, right? And production is going way down. So so then production is going way down. Then the cost of goods, if you will, in a sense, it's kind of cost of construction keeps going up and up and up because you have less and less people who actually know how to doing it, or you have technology taking over that you're kind of being forced to use. Anyway, it's an interesting trend that's also happening. It seems to be happening in ranching and farming.
Yeah, I think it's everything.
Yeah.
All right, so back to your branding day.
Yeah.
How many cows can you brand on a good day with a lot of help?
Oh, that all depends. I've been at ones where you do 600 in a day, and that gets to be pretty miserable tolling day. But 200 to 300, a lot of people do bunches of 200-300. Get it done in the morning, and then you have your afternoon to do whatever you
Drink
want.
beer.
Drink beer, go be productive, whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, it's a whole day deal.
They look fun. Becky always sends pictures when everyone's helping out. But
Everybody's got like a job.
Yeah.
There's like shit going on.
Yeah.
So it's just intense.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You gotta know what you're doing, or else you'll probably just end up being in the way.
Okay, so that's what, like you said, springtime. It's really fun doing a branding day. What's the worst day or experience on a ranch? Something you fucking hate doing every year, and you're like, God damn it.
2 weeks into calving time.
I was like thinking that's what your answer is going to be.
Like,
so also springtime.
Yeah, which is also springtime, early springtime, but calving's fun for a while. But I mean, you still obviously got to enjoy it, but it gets pretty tolling at times.
Yeah.
Especially if the weather's bad.
And you don't have a choice.
No.
Yeah, they got to come out.
If you want the calf alive, you got to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, they got to come out.
How often do you usually check them during calving season? Do you have people on night watch always, or no?
Well, and that all depends on the place you're at. Like with where we're at, all the mother cows are pretty damn good mother cows, so they should be able to do it on their own and be plumb fine if the weather's nice. But heifers, you got to check them at night. There's a lot of trouble with heifers being first calf.
Mm-hmm.
But like with the cows that we're going to calve.
Is that what a heifer is?
Yeah.
So a heifer is technically a female cow that has not had a calf before.
Yeah. Or it can be a first calf heifer.
Yeah.
So be having her first calf. Okay. Or it's just a heifer that hasn't had a calf.
It's all good. Okay.
Do you guys pull many of them or any of them or no?
Out of the heifers, you
Yeah.
generally have to pull some, or if a cow has complications, you have to help her.
Yeah.
Pull them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often would you say like you have to pull out half of them, a quarter of them?
Oh, no, less than a quarter.
Okay.
Things go good. Yeah, way
Okay.
less than a quarter.
Got it.
Should only be a handful.
Yeah.
You get many backwards or?
Oh, yeah. There's even with which a lot of times, older cow, it can have a backwards calf, but most of the time you see that and you're like, oh, I'll just go help her. Or something happens, lose a calf or something.
You grab it by its ears or something?
No, legs.
Front legs.
Yeah, front legs.
Yeah, I've been like shoulder deep inside a cow trying to, like, they'll get like a leg stuck
Yeah.
or something, or like the head will be back. And
Yeah, then you got to, like, if they're trying to come with their head kinked, you got to shove them back in, straighten them out in there, then help them come out the right way.
Yeah.
It's an ordeal.
Yeah, and I would imagine, so I could totally understand why that would be stressful, because timing's important, but also like when you have complications like that, like you got to fix them, and you got to fix them
Yeah.
quickly, kind of.
Then after they're born, you got to make sure, even if they're outside, you got to make sure they got up, made sure they sucked, got a belly full.
Yeah.
Make sure that's all good.
When did you say you guys start? March?
End of March, yeah.
Yeah. That's usually decent weather for the most part.
I mean, always have one or two shitty spring storms, but
I know Becky worked on some of those ranches when they would start in like January.
oh yeah, when she's in Lador.
Yeah. It sounds awful.
Calving,
Nastiest weather.
30
They're calving
below.
then?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you got to worry about
Fuck
the calves,
that,
like
dude.
the calves dying because if the mother doesn't lick them off. then
Yeah,
there's-
you got to be there when it's like if it's cold, you got to be there.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to imagine you're using your bare, well, you probably have a glove on, but like not a warm glove.
You don't have to use a glove, but I mean, it's like for
Yeah.
cleanliness, it's better to use a glove.
And then if you're pulling a calf, it's generally inside. You take them into a facility.
Yeah. Okay. It's still fucking probably cold in
Which-
there too.
Yeah, usually cold unless it's a heated barn, but at
Yeah.
least you're out of the wind.
Yeah. Right.
So have you've done broncs? Do you do any roping or no? Like in rodeos?
No, not in rodeos. I haven't roped, but do a lot of roping on the ranch. Like this fall, we had it was out every day for a couple of weeks. Was out riding weaned calves, doctoring sick ones, which then it was pneumonia.
So you're just roping them to treat them?
Yeah.
What have you done besides, is saddle bronc the only thing you've really done in rodeo
Yeah,
competition?
ranch bronc, which is would be the saddle that I ride daily. It's not a special saddle or anything.
So what's the difference in ranch and saddle bronc and ranch bronc and all the different terms?
Ranch bronc is your stock saddle. You're using saddle that you're using outside, and you can use two hands in ranch bronc.
And then saddle bronc
Is a special saddle.
is a special
Yeah.
saddle just for riding broncs.
Yeah.
Is there like any rivalries within the rodeos? Like, do bronc riders hate ropers or steer wrestlers hate bronc riders or anything? Is there any like,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it, but most of it's in good fun.
yeah. What's the biggest rivalry? What
I don't
about barrel racers? Where do they fit in?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I should comment on that.
I want to hear. Come on. I dated a barrel racer.
But yeah, I feel like there's in all the rough stock events, there's always rivalries or just in good fun shitting on each other.
I'm trying to get the rodeo games, like the rivalries. Like if steer wrestlers hate the bronc riders. What about the bull riders? Where do they fit in? Bull riders think everyone else is pussies.
Yeah, cocky little bastards.
Yeah. What about steer wrestling? That's what I'd do if I wanted to do a rodeo.
You got to be friends with steer wrestlers because they're generally big dudes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever done it or no?
No, I would not steer wrestle. I don't know why they jump off of a perfectly good horse.
Just looks fun.
Doesn't look fun when they miss.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Roll in the dirt.
So you need two cowboys to steer wrestle, right?
Yeah, well, there's the one guy steer wrestling and then the hazer to make sure the steer stays close to him.
Mm-hmm. How do you do? So you just like you're swinging over the right side of the horse, and then what do you do? Like your right foot still in the stirrup, and then you jump.
Yeah, I think you kind of just like, which I've never done it, but basically fall off the right onto the steer.
And both
And
your
then-
feet are just hanging there.
Yeah, and then once you know you got the steer, kind of just
Damn.
get away from
Then
the
you
horse.
grab its head and like turn it, like crank it.
So your rodeo game days are over, you think?
Yeah, probably.
Becky probably still wants to do something else, doesn't she? She probably wants to do some roping.
Yeah, Becky would really like roping.
She's decent with a rope now, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys could have a roping team.
We'd probably,
Co-ed
just,
roping team.
we'd probably just end up in a fight.
That's what happens when you have ranch working couples. Ends in a fight.
What's said to each other working cows doesn't count.
What's that?
Said what's said to each other working cows doesn't count.
Oh, right.
Would you be head or heels?
I don't know. I probably like the heel end more.
And what about when you rope them and tie them? What do you call that one?
Calf roping.
You've ever done that or no?
No.
But
Which
you technically do it all the
I
time.
technically do it out on the ranch all the time, but
You tie them the same way when you're like you tie their feet like that.
I mean,
when
you do it when you're branding.
yeah, there's branding, which that's everybody does that different too. But we primarily heel the calves and then drag them out. And
Yeah.
then while you're gone, I was telling Tim this fall I had to do a lot of pasture doctoring,
What's that?
which just go ride. Which we had our calves weaned, so it was just a big group of calves out in the pasture. We'd have to ride them, see a sick one, rope it, doctor it.
And when you doctor it, what do you mean? Like
Like depending on what it's sick with, like could be like respiratory issues like pneumonia,
mhm.
which that's what I was doctoring for. Then you give
you
it,
give them a shot or
yeah, you give
something.
them special medicine for that.
So you take all that different kinds of medicine out there with you and then you find a couple that are sick, and then you're kind of trying to diagnose what they're sick with.
Yeah,
On the spot.
And that also kind of depends on the season. Like this fall was pneumonia, which I'd only take pneumonia medicine because there really wasn't anything sick other than with pneumonia.
Okay.
And then like springtime, you can like scours can be big in the springtime.
What the hell is a scour?
Shitting themselves.
Liquid,
Yeah.
like a scout. Yeah. I don't know what
Get
it
dehydrated and shit.
just the shits basically.
Every once in a while, I scour myself.
Yeah.
Happens.
Yeah. I have too strong a friend.
So they like their stomach's fucked up, and they're shitting themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes French press coffee gives me the scours.
Yeah.
It's just too acidic.
Okay.
Just so you know.
It's nice.
All right. So what else? So that now you're on this. How long have you and Becky been on this ranch?
Well, we're coming on 2 months where we're at now, so pretty
Nice.
fresh there still, but it's been good.
So this is this operation raises feeders, then you guys finish them, and then you guys send them to is that?
No, we don't finish them.
I thought you guys finished them.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, we sell some for a handful for beef that just finished there, but calves are weaned. They go back to the main feedlot at the main place, and then I think they get shipped here end of December, beginning of January. And then where we're the registered cows too, and he has his annual bull sale, which is coming up December 11th.
What's a bull go for?
Oh, it depends on where you're at.
Give me a range, top to bottom.
Oh gosh, I'd say,
or maybe not, maybe like top or bottom, but give me a range. And
I would say a lot of guys buying commercial bulls, 5,000 to 10,000 for a commercial herd, but you get into the registered world and bulls get kind of wild.
Yeah. What's the? I should know this. There's like a big bull sale happens once a year in Denver. It's
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's like, why am I blanking on this? Yeah, so it's like once a year there's a huge bull sale, it's for Black Angus specifically. It happens in Denver at like I don't know. All right, well.
Are you thinking of the Denver Stock Show?
Yeah.
I can look it up for you.
I don't really know what goes on there. I know there's a Denver Stock Show and Rodeo.
Yeah, and it's probably it's one of those things that 90% of people probably don't ever participate in that are in the industry, right? More than that, like 95% of people don't participate because they got work to do, right? Like it's a pain in the ass to like travel across the country to go to this show or whatever.
They have one in Miles City every year. It's like,
yeah, this one is like the one I'm, at least from my layman's understanding, is that like it's kind of like the nation's, maybe most prestigious show, if you will. Now, whatever that means, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I'm in the construction industry, and they have the World of Concrete or different, like, these really big shows, and they're in like a lot of them are in Vegas. I've never been to a single one of them. They'd be fun to go to, but like I've always been working, so I'm like not going to take 3 days off and go to a construction show.
Yeah, and then like where all the dealers bring the latest.
They bring all they bring us equipment and tools and stuff like that.
They definitely have those in the agriculture world.
Yeah. Like they have a Con Expo in Vegas, which is like, it's like for all the construction equipment. There's cranes, there's excavators, there's all kinds of really cool of the latest and greatest technology. But I've never been to it.
I don't know. I'm not seeing.
Anyway, it's all no big deal.
So what do you and Becky plan
on
doing?
So like $5,000 for you said $5,000 to $10,000 for a bull.
Yes, and they get more expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
But then like you get into, which there's been some of these fancy bulls, like $100,000 bulls, but
it's all for their semen, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say those bulls are never going to see a cow in their life.
Yeah, because they're basically just gonna
They're getting a lot of hand jobs.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. That's where the big money is, those the registered.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's all the genetic lines, everything's it's a whole nother industry. But it's all ultimately for the semen sales.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's cows that'll go for money like that too,
Yeah.
depending on because you can get the offspring. They do I think I've told you, but they probably do a lot of embryos with Angus too, right?
Yeah, the place we're at with their registered cows do that, the embryo stuff.
Yeah, they can breed a cow, and then I don't know how long into the pretty short term they can take all these embryos out, which are essentially there's a bunch of the eggs are fertilized when you inseminate the cow, and there's a bunch of little embryos. There could be 20, 10, depending, and then they'll all fight, and the one will live, and that will be the calf that grows inside the cow. You can take them all out when there's 20 of them, and you put them into 20 donor heifers. And then those 20 heifers will all have the offspring of that one bull. So there's, it's a way you can streamline the offspring of the greatest cow and the greatest bull.
You're basically using
super cows.
Yeah.
And super
say,
bulls.
this cow is a nice cow, but it has shitty genetics. So you can put that embryo in her and she'll be growing this calf that's technically genetically not hers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Fucking, that's crazy. So
the crazy thing is you could
surrogate.
technically do that with humans.
Oh yeah.
Well, people are.
Yeah, people do that.
Right. That's like a surrogate mother.
Yeah.
Right.
So you could just find
that's not always like a surrogate mother, but
yeah, essentially. Yeah. And you could find you could essentially have people that whether it was their physical genes or their mental, try to get a bunch of Elon Musk genes.
Build a superhuman.
Yeah. Or and you could be well, we'll try 30 and we'll just get some people people that have nothing, a bunch of women that, because they'll have to be women to be donors, and hey, do you have no money? And do you want to make $100,000? We'll pay you if you'll be a donor for $100,000 to carry this embryo for 9 months. And it's crazy, but you could do that. I'm sure it's probably going on right now in places we don't know about. It's probably a whole industry.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But if some woman needs that money desperately, probably sounds like a great deal. Anyway, we need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right, what else can you tell us about Ranch and Dusty?
Can you stereotype everybody for a quick second? You can stereotype them in the positive, the negative, and in the middle. What are people that are that live on ranches, grow up on ranches? What are the positive characteristics that people have? What are the admirable traits would you say about
I don't know,
the community?
Most, successful people in the industry we're all pretty damn hard workers.
Yeah.
And they'll put their animals first for the most part. Oh, it's 30 below. I don't want to go outside. Fuck, got to get your ass out there.
Yeah.
Because you got to take care of those cows for them to take care of you.
Yeah.
That's actually, it's funny to hear you say that because that's exactly what I've heard my father say. And people say your father was such a good farmer because he always said the cows got to come first.
No.
And that was his motto, but he was a very successful dairy farmer by most standards. So that makes complete sense.
Yeah. So people have a lot of endurance and
they essentially have their priorities in mind too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't quit when 5, 6 o'clock comes around. You quit when work's done for the day.
Right.
Everything's situated.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the worst thing about ranchers, or what's some of their bad qualities?
I guess that all depends on the person. It's just like everything. In any industry, there's bad people.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so you grew up in Big Sandy, which was 700 people. What does it feel like when you come to Bozeman or a big city? What are the first thoughts that come to your head?
Yeah, which is damn, I'm in the city. And then talking to Rich, he's like, oh, Bozeman is small. I was like, it's fucking huge to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even by my standards, our town is 1,500 people, so it's very big. I'm just used to it now.
But
Do you have fun coming to the city, or do you like get excited about it sometimes? I can imagine they're like, oh, that's cool. Like I haven't been here in a while, or like,
yeah, no,
what's it like coming to Bozeman?
I really enjoy coming to Bozeman, but it's after a while, it's nice to go home back to the middle of nowhere with no people.
Yes, like so you like to come to visit for 3-4 days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to live here, I think I'd go stir crazy.
Yeah,
Just not a big fan of crowds and this many people.
Yeah.
And it's nice driving down a road where you might not see anybody for hours.
Yeah.
I know that feeling because when I go to New York City, I'm a day or two and I want to get out of there. And then when we'll drive around here and it's the best is when I'm driving down 19th and it's like 4:00 in the morning and there's no cars. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in a city that had everything and then there was just nobody in traffic. I could go wherever the hell I wanted.
Yeah. Well, you got any good lies?
Any good what? Lies?
Lies, yeah. Any good tall tales?
What's the biggest myth about ranchers?
Oh gosh.
What's the biggest misconception for people who watch the Yellowstone show?
Don't even compare real life to the Yellowstone show.
What pisses you off the most about the Yellowstone show?
I don't know. I enjoy watching Yellowstone, but as somebody in the industry, there's
It's
lots
entertaining.
there's lots of things you can pick up that aren't accurate, but it's fucking Hollywood.
Right.
And the funny thing is, the director is a legitimate rancher. What gets me the most about the whole show is they're never doing any crops. They're never making any hay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do they just feed these cows? Is it just summertime all the time in this place? They're never making any hay. There's no
Fucking Hollywood.
There's not. I've never even seen a tractor in that show. I'm like, what the hell? You're just highlighting the like 5 minutes where it's like real fun and luxurious.
But that's funny. It's kind of. I always tell Becky on her drive down here. It's like I almost hate dressing like a cowboy in Bozeman because people are like, oh, look at that dipshit. He watches too much Yellowstone. It's like, no, that's actually what I do for a living.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because, wow. It's almost like, let's pause on that for a second. So it's like, you're not trying to be anybody who you aren't.
Yes.
But you come to a city where there are people who are trying to act like they're you.
Or dress like a
But
wish.
when you're in Bozeman, you're like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're like, I don't want to wear my hat because I'm the real deal, but I'm kind of like a poser in Bozeman.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy, actually, right?
Yeah.
Because you just like don't want the attention.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. You're like, I don't want people to fucking bother me. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, what's funny is I was doing all that siding this summer and trying to stay out of the sun and putting a lot of sunscreen on. I'm like, man, this is the first time where like I really kind of would like to have a ranch hat right now and just keep the sun off my neck. I'm like, yeah, this is when like if you were out on a horse every day, like you'd want to keep that sun off your neck. It beats the hell out of putting a shitload of sunscreen all over you. It's got God knows what in it.
Yeah, and that's what 100% of the year I generally wear a cowboy hat. Like this time of year, felt, summertime, straw hat.
Sure.
It makes sense for the sun just on your neck.
That's what I have a lot of a handful of family members that just always wear ball caps. And now that they're getting older, they're getting chunks cut off their ears of potential skin cancer spots.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense if you're going to be out in the sun every day.
Yeah, it's I mean, different line of work, different line of work, but like all the agricultural workers in Southern California or like northern Mexico, whether it's they grow all kinds of like fruit, right?
Yeah.
Oranges, avocados, and so all those people are wearing big ass hats. And they make fun of them, when you go to Mexico, you can get like a huge fucking sombrero and they oversize them kind of for fun, but like they wear big ass fucking hats because they're out picking fruit all day long.
And keeps them in the shade.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to ask you before. I almost forgot. What do you feel? How do you feel about people driving around with their cowboy hat on?
I don't know. It's all personal preference, but I always throw my cowboy hat on the dash when I'm driving, just because
That's what I think. I was like,
the
how
back of the seat.
I'm like,
Yeah, because otherwise you
And I'm not tall enough for the back of it to go over the back of the seat, so I just throw mine on the
Maybe
dash.
that's the thing, but I'm just like, how the hell could you do that? That drive me insane. Like, I put a backwards ball cap on. I'm like, this doesn't work.
You see a lot of guys that drive with their hats on if they're shorter, like I am. They're hunched forward driving.
Like this driving.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know the detail on that.
So you and Becky kind of are rotating, working for different ranches at different times, just based on need.
No, which recently this spring we made the decision to leave my family ranch, just because family sometimes.
Sure, but, get kind of your own life and your own privacy, and
no hard feelings anywhere, but just decided to leave, and we found this spot where we're at now, which is just on the other end of the Bears Paws, where we're at. So we left, but didn't go too far, and we're really enjoying where we're at now, which is Shipwheel Cattle Company. Some really good people there.
Okay. How long you been there?
Going on 2 months now.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's been good. And growing up on my family place, it was like half cows, half farming. And I've always leaned towards the cowboy aspect of life. So it's nice. Where we're at now doesn't do much farming other than their own personal hay. Yeah. And that's about it, which is nice. Get away from the farming for a while.
Got it.
Just because I don't enjoy sitting on a tractor.
Sure. Bears Paws. That's like a mountain range?
Yeah, that's a little mountain range up in central Montana.
It's a small mountain range.
Yeah, it's not. They're lower elevation mountains compared to these. They're not the big, no big wicked peaks.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Small compared to these mountains.
I got you. Yeah. I just didn't know that they were called the Bears Paws, but that makes sense.
What am I missing?
Oh, we were just talking about my question was more like based around like, is the work naturally seasonal in a sense where you're kind of working for different people at different times, and you kind of said, nah, I guess it probably can be for some people.
Yeah, it can be.
But you guys are trying to like more stick to something longer term, or kind of get a relationship with a ranch, stick with them. And not to say you won't go out and kind of help other people to make some money, but
how many cows do you guys have now?
Like personally, or where we're at? Right now, me and Becky, because we had to downsize quite a bit to go, because it's obvious you can't just go onto a ranch and I come with X amount of cows, which we got to keep a handful, but we had to downsize, which is perfectly fine.
And you've got what do you guys have? 5 horses now?
Yeah, right now we got 5 horses, 4 good ranch horses, and a little guy coming up that we'll start here soon.
Why do you got so many if you can only ride one at a time?
It's nice to give them a break. They need a break once in a while.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What are you going to do with the little one?
Make him a ranch horse, which Becky has already done a bunch of groundwork with him, keeping him gentle and stuff. Then there'll come time, obviously, we got to saddle him and do some more training.
Okay, and you got 2 daughters. Are they both going to be ranchers too?
I'm not going to push anything on my kids. Do whatever makes you happy.
Whatever they want to do. Does Elsie do a lot on horses already or no?
She's pretty timid when it comes to horses, but she's getting better.
But you said you weren't a big fan of horses, right?
No, when I was a kid, I hated it.
I feel safer on a horse than behind one.
Yeah.
I just don't like walking behind them. That's when I have trust issues.
Yeah.
They can
kicked.
Yeah.
A lot of power in a horse kick.
Yeah. What do you, so somebody who's never really spent any time around horses, what would be your advice when people are around them? Like, what advice would you give somebody who's like, they don't know anything about them?
I see a lot of people get excited and they'll like run up to a horse to pet it. It's like,
people do that?
Yeah. It's like,
so they really don't know.
Yeah. And I guess if obviously don't walk behind a horse.
Yeah.
And if you're going to approach a horse, make sure they see you.
Yeah.
Approaching them.
Yeah, I just say with all animals, like, make sure you respect them.
Yeah.
Respect the size and, like, respect their space.
Mm-hmm.
And respect that they could kill you pretty easily if they wanted to.
Yeah, I imagine, especially if they kick you in the right spot, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I know, like, not directly, but a gal's friend got kicked in the head, killed by a horse. Like, they can see, like, I think a horse can see, like, 200 and something degrees.
Oh, yeah,
their eyes
horses' peripherals are insane.
They can almost see their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, like, when they kick, it's like they can see where their foot's going.
Yeah.
They say if a horse misses you, it's a warning. Because, like, which I don't know if that's true, but I think they've got pretty good precision to where they're kicking.
Yeah, so they're purposely missing you.
They're like, hey,
but
like,
they're
just
close.
Like, yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've took a horse kick right to the stomach before.
Ugh.
Knocked the wind. I was rolling around trying to catch my wind for what felt like forever.
You didn't get any ribs broken or anything?
No.
Fucking
below my ribs.
lucky as hell.
Yeah.
Fuck.
A horse kick could break ribs so easy.
Yeah, because you think about, like, if you get hit, right? Like, you know, first off, your ribs are like, what? So you got hit in like a 6-inch spot where your ribs above your pelvis, below your ribs, which is amazing that it hit you right there. And then
your diaphragm.
And then right behind that is your fucking spine.
Do you do any ferrying on your horses or no?
I can do the basics, like trim something up, but I really don't have the knowledge or experience to shoe my own horses.
Yeah.
Because you got to know what you're doing there. It'd be pretty easy to cripple a horse if you start messing with your feet and don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you guys ride them a lot in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, if it gets too slick, we sharp show them where they got cleats on their shoes. They're not slipping and sliding around.
So you have shoes off right now?
No, they have shoes on right now, but they're just bare shoes. No cleats or anything.
Well, you'll keep them on through the winter?
Yeah, we'll probably pull them for a while, but where we're at in the summer, we want to keep them shoed because it's really rocky country and it'll wear their feet down quick.
Yeah. But if there's too much snow, do you need to take shoes off in the winter too, or no? Like, does the snow ball up or anything on them?
If the conditions are right, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but
yeah,
a lot of times in the winter, it's nice to run barefoot.
Yeah.
Like Chip's just riding out the other day, and it's kind of that snowman snow, and I have to stop once in a while and take my knife and chip the snow out of there because it starts to ball up and they start to walk funny.
Yeah.
What else? You got any big questions, Kyle? Kyle likes to hit with some heavy questions sometimes at the end.
I mean, no, I mean, I think it's. I'm always interested to learn about people's lifestyles that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
This you guys should come up for a branding this spring.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, you'd definitely be welcome.
That'd be awesome.
When's that? Is that there? It's not a set date. It's just kind of when it makes sense.
Yeah,
that'd be
when
fun.
it makes sense.
I think I might be good for about 1 day's worth of work.
Yeah, you do fine.
Yeah,
There's something everyone can do.
I think it's like a stamina thing. I would say the one time I worked on a ranch for 3 days in a row, I was fucking beat. I was so tired.
Yeah. You get conditioned for anything after a while.
Right.
Yeah. I was going to say you should go up to that bull sale. That'd be something.
That'd be cool too.
Oh, yeah. You guys come to that.
Yeah.
That's in 10 days?
Yeah. 11.
How big of a turnout do they expect for that?
Oh, gosh. I think last year there's 300-400 people there. And the bull sale's right at my boss's place, right at where he lives. He's got a nice sale barn and stuff.
How many are they selling?
Oh, this year it's 120 roughly.
Yeah. A lot of guys just pull trailers up there planning on buying something. Yeah. How far do guys come from?
Oh, gosh, there's guys all over the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Last year, and I think their regulars come from Missouri.
Damn.
Iowa.
Do guys pull campers or anything? Do they stay in hotels up there?
Stay in hotels.
Yeah. Nice. Right on.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Anything else? All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We didn't have any
Thank you.
beers.
Off the camera, maybe.